You know, our main goal as an American Chamber of Commerce in Peru is to promote and foster trade between American companies and Peruvian companies. That's our mission here. And what we try to do is when companies from the United States come to Peru, the idea is to get them under our wing and show them, you know, get them involved in the committees that we have here. For instance, companies come into AmCham. They become a member. They become a member, and they most of the time, you know, they take part in a committee, whether it is human resources or it's marketing or public relations. They group, and the idea is to kind of lobby if there is some issue with the government or if there's an issue with an industry. So they try to solve that between them, you know, and when you're a group, you're more powerful. Right. So that's one of the main things we do here. We have different committees and different parts of business structures, you know, but AmCham, as far as the structure of the actual chamber, we have an executive director, Aldo de Filippi, and then we have a board of directors, which are the general managers of companies that are members
now,
of
those
the
U.S.
chamber.
companies and Peruvian companies?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. And how are they selected?
We do an election.
Oh, really?
So it's pretty fair, you know. But most of the companies that are involved in the committees, in this kind of groups, usually try to, if they're interested, you know, in being in the board of directors, you start by being president of your committee of marketing.
Right.
See? And then, because it's not a paid position.
Right, exactly.
So it's the time you put into it. And then we obviously have elections, and you get, you know, elected to be in the board of directors. And it's a way of networking too. I would say that most of our members do business here in Peru by networking, you know, it's kind of like helping each other. Right. So that's one of the main functions that we have as a Chamber of Commerce. We work with the committees, and also we provide that networking system for our members through luncheons, brunches, that type of thing. For instance, when we have a new member, we have a brunch. So that member gives a presentation and tells the other members who want to come to that brunch, you know, this is my company, this is what we do, this is our target market, you know, we're looking for clients. And we also have connections with the U.S. Embassy and government. So when we have those brunches or luncheons or dinners, we always invite someone from the government or from the embassy, and we pick a topic to discuss specifically.
Now, do you work with non-government organizations also?
Yes. Yes, we do. But that those are usually invited. You know, we invite them to come. We don't have non-for-profit or no-profit organizations as members. But we always go to them as far as, like, you know, we're having a lunch and we invite them, and that's how we usually work. We would like to have them as members, but we don't have them so far. So,
and of your what's your total membership?
It's 600 members right now, and that's what I was going to tell you. So that's the chamber in itself. And of course, we have huge companies, members of the chamber, multinational companies. But there was a need for some sort of consulting when it comes to small and medium-sized companies, because a lot of companies like Galleon, for instance, and all these companies that you guys have, you know, studied for a couple of months have different needs. Because you're not going to go tell, like, Johnson and Johnson.
Right,
This is how you do
right.
business, you know. But you start with the little ones, and there was a need for us to develop a trade center. A trade center caters for small and medium-sized companies, and those are developing companies that are looking for a market share in the United States. So what we do is we provide them with all the tools that they need to get their product out there, and for it to get safe to the United States, and for it to be competitive in the international market. So what we do is we meet with them and we see their product. We see if it's a good product, if they can actually produce an amount that is competitive in the market. And then we start asking, okay, you've been in this industry for how long, so what's your main problem? So some of them tell us, well, I'm selling this product here, you know, the national market, but I want to start export, but I don't know how. So we provide them with all the requirements, and if there's a need for certificates, we guide them on where to get them or what's the process. And also, we help them study the international market. So what we do is we provide them with a list of contacts that have in the past imported that specific product. And the way we work is we ask for the tariff code of the product. For instance, if you want to export asparagus, whether it's fresh or it's frozen, we ask you. And they tell us and they give us the tariff code. So what I do is I find contacts in my database that have imported asparagus in the past, and my database is the list is gonna come out with how many containers, to what countries, what were the ports of entry.
Right.
So that gives them a better idea as far as to build their logistics, you know? Where do I send that? Or where should I have my commercial agent, you know? So, and that helps them study the market too.
Yes, very good.
And if there's a language barrier, which I hate to say most of the time there is, what we do is we do matchmaking services. What we do is we'll go through the list and tell them to study the list. Most companies tell you, I can produce a large amount of this product or I can't. So what we do is we sort the companies that we're trying to target through volume, how much they've imported in the past. So I let them do that. They pick the companies they want, and then I start calling. And I'm like, I'm calling you. I work for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Peru, and I have a client, and I want to know if there's an opportunity for them with you. You know, and most of them will ask for samples, and what we do is pretty much we take on introducing the Peruvian company to the American company, and we help them sometimes through the whole process, you know, until they place an order. Sure. And once they have established already a commercial relationship, everything is good. Because, you know, usually what has happened in our experience, when you have a client abroad that trusts you already, there's always ways to get around the language barrier, you know. And if there's anything that, you know, that they don't get or whatever, they come back to us and they go, hey, can I send you that email? I didn't really quite get that, you know. We also have lawyers in the chamber, so they help us with, you know, contracts. Before one of our members goes into making contract, they can come and check with the lawyer and be like, am I getting myself in a pickle here? So that's another way we help them. So I was telling you about the trade center. I'm like jumping. But okay, so there was a need to open a department that will help small and medium-sized companies. And this is how the trade center started. So what we provide is really low cost membership. It's $360 plus tax, which is 19%. a year.
Okay.
Okay, so the services that we provide them is commercial information, statistics, information of certificates, requirements. If there's specific laws, for instance, with textiles, Peru used to export lots of clothing to the United States. Now there's all these restrictions.
Oh.
Why? Because the United States had an issue not too long ago with lead and lead
Right.
intoxication, and this was usually in toys that came from China.
Right.
So after that, the Product Safety Commission issued all these rules. And it's not only for toys now, it's lead in everything. And even for clothing, specifically for kids, I think it's ages from 0 to 6 years old. All the raw materials have to go through a process of lots of tests, inflammability, and then there's lead intoxication and small parts requirements.
Who picks
For
up the cost
cottons?
for all those? Who picks up the cost for the tests?
The importers, supposedly. That's the thing, because that is those were the rules that were given.
Right.
But they haven't started using those rules yet. So they're not, they're going to be, I think, what's the word? They're going to be put into use.
Yes.
I think by the mid-year, by September this year.
Okay.
And some for next year.
Okay.
So our customers come to us, our clients come to us, and they go, what do I do? There's no institution in Peru that can, do that lead intoxication or test or flammability test. But that's the risk of the importer.
Okay.
And those are issues that we're encountering. A lot of people are getting discouraged because the importer is asking them to pretty much pay for those, and they're expensive.
Yes.
So those are things that we're developing.
Okay.
Reports like that we study, we develop, and then, we provide to our clients that are in that specific industry.
Okay.
But right now it's a very gray area because they're not put into use yet. And not everything has given in a schedule on where this new rule is going to be put to use. So we're pretty much up in the air, and same with certificates of origin.
What you were discussing before.
Right.
Okay.
So to go in order,
That's good. It's good.
It's commercial information. We also participate in specialized fairs and business missions, inbound and outbound.
Okay.
Starting from the specialized fairs, we have customers in all different industries.
Okay.
So what we do is we try to go to a specialized fair once a year in each industry.
Oh, okay.
Peru is known for exporting lots of home decorations, handicrafts, jewelry. So we go to the New York gift show twice a year now, in January and in August.
Okay.
And the way we go is AmCham Peru, pretty much between their members, says, we're going to this mission. This is the cost for members, non-members, and that includes everything. It includes hotel, it includes tickets, it includes the actual booth, because we rent out 2 booths.
Okay.
And we take a decorator with us to just make sure that it's very presentable, and we try to have the colors always present, or whether it is the theme Machu Picchu or the flag, or I don't know if you heard about the other culture, Ancash, the culture.
Okay.
So we pick a theme, and what we do is get the whole stand or booth. We get the booth ready so our clients can only go and place their products there.
Great. Okay.
The goal, what we try to do, the objective of the mission is taking Peruvian companies that have an interest in exporting to the United States and finding an agent, distributor, to take orders right at the fair or for people to buy their products in the future. The purpose of the fair in itself is not to sell what you take.
Okay.
Is you take samples.
Right.
Because we have issues with some clients thinking that they take everything they produce and they sell it.
Right.
And we can't
Like a
do
market.
that. Right, because it's against the law.
Right,
Because
right,
we
right.
are, it's a showroom.
Okay.
So you're supposed to just take your products and take your purchase order. And that's the thing. We have issues sometimes with customs when we get to the United States because people say, well, you're not supposed to sell everything we take.
Okay.
So we have to be very careful when we take Peruvian companies because we have to do all this training before the fair, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We have to. It's kind of a big investment for a small company.
Yes.
It's expensive.
Sure.
It's around $2,500 without a ticket.
Oh, okay.
So for exhibitors, if you take your products. But everything is included, lighting, decoration, booth, and then we also work with the Peruvian embassy in New York.
Okay.
So we set business meetings depending on the product they have. If they have a mass-produced product, we try to place them with companies that would be interested in buying that product. If you have a product that is very high-end, we place you with Barney's New York.
Okay. Great.
So that's
great.
what we do, and we've had success in the past. And it's also true that a lot of companies have to go 4 times or even 5 times before they get a purchase order.
Sure.
Because agents or distributors there, they want to make sure that you come up with a collection each year, you know, and it has to be different in January, that is winter,
Right.
and in summer, in August.
So they're checking capabilities, also
Right, of
capacity.
production.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, that's another thing. But there's a lot of companies too that go for the first time and they're a boom. You know,
Right.
everybody wants their
Right.
products.
Right.
So it's kind of taking the risk and putting your product out there. And specialized fairs are a perfect way to do that because you find people from all over the world. You know, and they're usually organized in home decorations, jewelry, museum, souvenirs, those kinds of, what is it called? The floor plan is already set up. So people, what they do is they get a brochure like this and they go, oh, I saw AmCham last year, they're good. So they'll go there, you know? And we also have, most of the time, someone from the chamber walking around and pulling people in, and you know, it's been a good experience. Most of our members that have gone to the specialized fairs have had a really, really good experience, and they've gotten the contacts that they needed.
Now, tourism is so huge here, and the potential of tourism. Do you represent that industry as well?
Tourism, well, actually, in the trade center, like I said, we have small and medium-sized companies, but AmCham, we have, as the chamber, we have big hotels that are, you know, clients, but we don't get so involved in, I wouldn't say promoting, but most of those huge companies, their main interest is by being chambers of the commerce, by being members of the chamber, what they try to do is network. For instance, we have an event, so we call the Marriott and we go, hi, we need to do this, you know, like I need to use one of your conference rooms or this and that, you know. So that's the way AmCham as an organization networks. But within the trade center, it's more like promoting commerce and actually placing a product abroad. And that's one way. Specialized fairs for each industry. Like I said, we have a New York gift show twice a year. We also go to, what is it called? Fresh, oh gosh, I can't remember the exact name, but it's specifically for fresh
produce.
and all vegetables, And we also do commercial missions. Commercial missions, we gather members of the chamber that have a specific need. For instance, importing now is huge. With a free treaty of trade, 98% of the things that Peru imports is now 0% tariff. You don't pay tariff on that.
Wow.
So a lot of our companies that need machinery, because that's what we usually import.
Yeah.
Peru has a lot of resources, but we don't have pretty much like any company that makes machinery for mining, for hydrocarbons, like for industries like that need heavy machinery construction.
Right.
So we import that machinery and we import technology. So what we've been doing, especially now that the free trade of trade has been signed, we gather companies that have an interest in buying heavy machinery, and we get all their information, specifically what they're looking for, and we work with members of the government and also with the support of the U.S. Commercial Service, and we take those Peruvian businesses, the representatives, we take them to the United States and we match them. We match them with companies that can provide those products, those machines or services. So what they do is we make sure that it's the right match and that they can actually walk out of that mission feeling like they accomplished, or actually visiting the plant or visiting the factory, So, and actually talking face to face about the benefits of the machine in comparison to getting it from a different part of the world. What we're trying to promote is honestly trade between Peruvian companies and American companies.
Very good.
So,
excellent. Do you see the new Obama administration having any impact one way or the other with your mission? President Obama?
Not so far. I mean, we've had issues with, not with that, but just with the international crisis. We've had issues this year with our fair, the New York Gift Show, which is usually the one that sells itself.
Right.
Most of the time, we don't even have to advertise because it's our own members that go like, okay, I want to take the stand or this and that, the booth. But this time, a lot of companies that initially said yes kind of stepped back and said, you know what, it's not time for us to spend a lot of money. U.S. economy right now is not doing so great. So it's a huge investment for us to risk because they're small companies.
Sure.
So we took 5 companies to share stand booth.
Okay.
2 booths actually, and I would say that this year one of them had a lot of sales. They sold everything and they had to come back and produce more and send it to the United States.
Okay.
But there were other companies that went, like for instance jewelry, that they didn't get as many contacts as they usually do. So I would say the financial crisis has definitely affected our exports, specifically in jewelry and textiles, clothing.
Because those are more luxury purchases.
Right.
So.
I just wanted to chime in there as well to ask you on a follow-up to that about, we were just asking about the Obama administration, but how would you say the view is as far as Peruvian businesses here and their view of some of the businesses that they're working with in America and the U.S. Is there any kind of sentiments as far as feeling at all disadvantaged, or you know what I mean? What's the dynamics kind of between the American businesses and some of the distributors and that sort of thing? Do you feel like politically that there's any sort of tensions or anything like that? They're kind of getting in the way of the economics.
You mean the government right now? I'm not really.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is how do you feel like American businesses are viewed right now? Do you feel like there's any shift because of the Obama administration? I mean, to preface it, I've been at conferences as well where for a long time, because of the Bush administration, American businesses were viewed a little differently, and there was sometimes some, difficulties in dealing with just because of the image that the U.S. was kind of branded with. Do you feel like there's any shift in that at all, or do you feel like it's pretty much kind of the same sort of thing that it's been for a while, or?
I don't think, and don't quote me on this because I might be completely wrong, but see, our companies here, the ones that we work at the trade center, the ones that we're planning or we're hoping to place our product abroad, the political situation in the United States really doesn't affect them that much, to be honest. But in the case of Bush and Obama, we're very grateful to Bush, and I know I'm not really a fan of his by no means, but I'm just saying we're so happy that he finally pushed that free trade agreement, because honestly, that means so much to the little companies, that are trying to place their products, because that is definitely going to improve their standards of living, and having products go to the United States with 0% tariff and with benefits, that is just a huge step for us. Peru, man, people that have known about us for a while, we had a horrible case of terrorism a couple of years ago, and for us to say that now we have a free treaty of trade with the United States, and that there's an actual collaboration of both parties to promote trade, that just honestly amazes me. We couldn't be happier,
Right. That's great.
So you feel like, also to follow up, you were saying at the New York show, because of the economic downturn, it's kind of created maybe a feeling that there's less of a market.
Right. That's another thing.
On that.
We have to be very careful, and also, I wouldn't, I'm going to tell you guys, but, just let's keep it here. But a lot of our a lot of our members at the Trade Center, when we do fairs, specialized fairs and missions, of course we do it with the United States. We are the Cámara de Comercio Americana, we're the, but we are encountering problems with the whole convincing part, because it's just such a general idea that the United States is not in a great, economic situation right now. And a lot of our clients are like, I don't know if I really want to invest that much money, into going to the United States, knowing that right now the economy is so hard, I might not sell anything. So I would say more than this time being an opportunity for the exporter, it's a better opportunity for the importer, because now, and this is crazy, a lot of our clients now are like, I need to go to the United States right now and get products, because the United States is having such a rough time selling their products within the American market, that they're more than happy to send samples to Peru for free of products. And and our clients are like, before I'll have to send like 1,000 emails and phone calls to get someone to talk to me and send me something. The company being the one paying for shipping. But now it's a great time for Peruvian companies to go to the American market and be like, I need this product, I can actually pay for it, and I could have you ship me a whole container or 3-4 containers. And the American market now is more willing to cater to, in our case, Peruvians. So it's a great opportunity for importers, I would say, more than exporters.
Okay. That's a very interesting point.
Well, that makes sense too. It's the sort of thing where now it's shifted around a little bit. So, the advantage is coming from the fact that while Americans maybe were high standing for a while, it's like they're looking for as many opportunities to export from the U.S. to other countries.
And the other thing is that the standards of living in Peru have risen a lot, and there's a lot of money here now. a lot of companies have grown. They've exported when it was a good time, and now they've diversified into construction, mining. So there's Peruvian companies that have a lot of money, and they have the money to, invest in technology, in machines, new machines.
Excellent.
Because what we do is, honestly, from the United States, we get technology and heavy machinery. We get luxury products from the United States, but nothing in comparison to those big industries,
Right.
So it's a good time for us to do business with the United States and purchase from them.
So maybe another question I had for, because I'm thinking of CIBER and I'm thinking of Levant, and so a part of that research is to be able to try to educate American businesses on what they can better do, with negotiations with other countries, with Peru, with say American exporters, Peruvian importers. What do you think is probably some better practices or some things maybe to be aware of on the U.S.'s side to think about,
When they're sending product here?
Yeah.
Again, certificates of origin.
Yes.
That's one of the things.
Yeah.
I will honestly give you guys the class that I learned yesterday, but for me, even that I'm in this business, was just so much information that I was just overwhelmed, because we've dealt with certificates of origin before, but now to take advantage of those benefits, you kind of have to be an expert,
Yeah.
So I would say for companies in the United States the United States will be exporting and Peru will be importing. That's the thing. The importer is responsible for the information. The United States, the exporter, for instance, machinery, can issue a certificate of origin, but the importer is the one that is getting the benefit.
Right.
So it's in their best interest to find out if that's actually true, if that machinery or product is actually from the United States.
Right.
Because there's obviously a problem with if your American party, the one that's selling machinery to you, goes, this is 100% American. That's fine.
Right.
But then if there's an investigation and the American party doesn't have all the documents to prove that it is, the importer is the one that gets the fine.
Right.
So we always So we always tell them, it's if you are a Peruvian importer party, you need to make sure that the exporter has the document to back up any investigation.
Right.
But they can issue it, and that's the thing. If you, for instance, and this is something that yesterday they were telling us, and I thought it was quite funny, but I'm selling you machinery, and you ask me, is it 100% American? I go, yes. You can issue a certificate of origin that says, under my understanding, this is 100% American.
Right.
But if there's an investigation, then there's going to be an issue between you and me.
Yeah.
Because under your understanding, it's American, but obviously could not be American. It could be from China, So what they're telling us is always in the contract, write a clause that says that if you are trusting the party that is selling you the machinery, if there was any investigation, that both parties will
suffer the consequences.
Right.
Exploit the consequences.
So it's also a sort of thing, maybe an issue of transparency. So it's more beneficial for both parties, for both to be more transparent about what it is, but also for American exporter to try to educate as well, to say, well, you'll probably need this, to be also understanding
of the dynamics that the risk is going on to the importer, to have a more cohesive relationship between the two.
Right.
Sounds like the
Yeah. What in this case of purchasing things from a party that is abroad, how we try to help our members is most of our members, to be honest, work with 1 or 2 clients, big clients or small ones, depending on the amount that they produce. But they don't try to get a lot of clients. Why? Because getting into a commercial relationship with people you don't know that are abroad is risky. And a lot of our clients have sent products to the United States and the company just disappeared. They didn't hear back from them, or they had to go to trial and the other company just paid them for half, and it was a disaster. So what we do is we work with a company that checks the American company's history. They're paying, what is that called? DNB, and what they provide is a history of payment.
Okay.
How, if they've paid their providers before, if they pay their clients timely or not. So what we do is we ask them for the DUNS number.
Yes. Okay.
And or the name of the company, and then we work closely with DNB, and then we ask them, I'll ask them, you need to find out everything about this company, and then they'll send back a report. So that's how we try to help them. Those are some benefits of being part of the Exporters Club. And I told you about the missions, the fairs. And also we do seminars and conferences. When there's an issue, going again to the certificate of origin, huge. We invite, the government agencies that are involved in this. In this case, Mincetur, Aduanas. We also invite the Inter-American Bank of Development if they have a specialist on this, And the thing is that AmCham, since it's a nonprofit organization, we don't really have the funds to bring a lot of specialists, but we get help from the United States Embassy. If they have a specialist coming in, they let us know. Or the Inter-American Bank of Development or other banks send us specialists. So we train the people, the clients that we have at our at our club.
Definitely, yeah. That's great. I'm trying to think of an additional one as far as the dynamic thing. I don't know. Is there other things that are popping up in your mind?
I'd like to kind of shift a little bit to my focus on research. And I'm really interested in understanding more about how the Peruvian entrepreneur thinks. What kinds of things, what motivates them? Because I know that I'm looking at some cross-cultural research that people are motivated by different things. And the way that entrepreneurship is viewed in, say, the U.S., where we're a very individualistic culture, versus South America, very collectivist. So I'm really trying to understand more about those dynamics.
I would say, the whole entrepreneurial, women being entrepreneurs started because we are, I don't want to say male-dominated, country, but there's a lot of men that's still very macho, It's not as bad as Mexico, but still, we are in South America. And there's things that in the United States are just so okay, but here, for instance, a girl my age that doesn't live at home with her parents, they're just guys are nowhere, they want to do nothing with you because they have their own ideas. It's culture. It's it's the way that we've been brought up, So that's still a problem. And I think that's one of the main reasons that women decided, I need to open a company. I need to start in family level and then grow, because when you work in the corporate Peruvian I don't know, just arena, I would say, you encounter a lot of things. that for someone that has had international experience comes to you as a shock, little things that, you've never had to deal before, as far as, I don't want to say that women are not as welcome to the business environment, but there's always, men are over women. They're always going to earn more money. That's something you got to accept and deal with. And for instance, in my case, when I started working for the chamber, I remember I got assigned my first client, who was obviously a male. And when they told him I was going to be his consultant, he was just like, it took him a little bit to trust me, but at the trade center, there's only guys, and it's cultural, and it's something that you just need to understand and deal with. And there's ways to getting their trust, but that's one of the things that I think motivates women, that, if I want to feel great and not have to deal with things like that, I need to open my own company. I need to start from like family, and then branch out.
Okay.
And then again, the standards of living have risen, so a male salary is not enough, I would say, in Peru. And also, a lot of females here get married, and I don't want to say they stay home and take care of their kids, but a lot of people have to choose whether they stay at home or they remain in the workforce. So females that stay in the workforce, to be honest, most of them don't have time to start their own business, because you have to work your way up hard. And then there's people that stay at home, females that stay at home. And those that stay at home obviously take care of their kids, but they have a lot of spare time. And there's all these classes now, for skincare, and there's always been sewing classes and all these things. So what women do is they group. There's a trend in Peru since, just Latin America. Like you said, in the United States, everyone is individualistic. In Peru, it's not like that. Everybody has that collective sense. So they group, For instance, they pick up their kids from school and they share experiences, and they go, well, we should start something. So usually the trend is females group and they take a class together, and after that they start, they start a little business, and they get their product out there, and some of them get help, like they come to us and they start exporting, or the government is putting a lot of money into developing workshops for women, so families will actually have a second income.
Very good.
And education now is available. It's relatively inexpensive.
Is it through the universities or services
Right.
yourself? Okay.
Universities, and there's all these sorts of scholarships now. So honestly, I would say it's a sense for females. It's a sense of just using your whole potential, and the drive to open your own company is that. And then the other thing is that the profit margin that you can make when you're actually your own boss, And then there's other issue that is time, You work on your own schedule. So you can still take care of your kids. You can still take care of your husband. You can do all those things and, have a business.
So do you see that, because, for example, when we look at the whole model of entrepreneurship, different people have different reasons for being an entrepreneur. And at some point, we even say that there's a difference between being an entrepreneurial business and a small business. Mm-hmm. Because the small business owner really is not interested in a lot of growth. Mm-hmm. They really want the freedom and the time and enough money to pay the bills and that kind of thing. Whereas an entrepreneur is really focused on doing whatever is necessary to grow the business. So where would you see, the cultural aspects for entrepreneurship here in Peru?
In Peru, I would say more women than than before are becoming entrepreneurs. Why? Because there's a trend that in the past, you know, we've come a long way. There's a lot of single moms now.
Okay.
So, you know, they have kids that are old enough to go to school and after that go to football practice or whatever, and they have the time.
Okay.
And since they have responsibilities, they're willing to risk more. There's a lot of people that come to us that have that, that are in that situation.
Okay.
And it's females like that say, tell me how much I need to go to a specialized fair to put out my product. They're willing to take risks.
Okay.
Because they're young.
Yes.
And they can, and there's government help. And they usually work in groups. That's the thing. Everybody here works in groups, whether it's with your girlfriends or with your family, or even now a lot of exporters that had a little shop group together, because one of them, for instance, in jewelry, he's really good with design, and then the other guy is really good with materials. So they group together and they create a common product, and they export that. Same happens with females.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
So there's a trend to get together and improve a product or a service and then put it out in the market.
Okay. And what do you see as the obstacles for those businesses?
For in what industry?
Would just pick an industry. Would you say is funding the main obstacle, access to funds, or are there other types of
Well,
considerations?
funding definitely is a problem.
Yes.
You know, the whole banking system is not the same in the United States, that they just, you can borrow money, you know, just easy. Here, it's not like that. Banks really cover themselves, and the interest rates are so high compared to interest rates in the United
what's
States.
the interest rate here?
17%.
Okay.
Really high. And well, that's one. And then the other one is the feeling of jumping into something that you can't, uncertainty.
Okay.
Because they don't know, for instance, when they're exporting, they feel like they don't know the American market.
Right.
So am I gonna risk all the capital, the working capital that I have now, and try to go to a different market? And the uncertainty and the language barrier kind of deters that drive, you know, to go out there and to look for a bigger market share, you know, and abroad. I would say people that come to us, the main issue is language barrier. They're not very confident about not so much the product that they have, but their sales skills are not good, and that is because of the language barrier.
Yes. Okay.
So that's why we do matchmaking services. We help them because we know that for some reason they panic when they actually get to the sales associate, you know, and they're trying to explain the product and just they're so nervous, and you know, so that's why we help them, because that's a main issue that we've seen people encounter, language barrier. And then the second one is a sense of international marketing. So that's why I was telling Monica's group, you know, just finding that about Amazon.
Yes.
That's huge, having a distributor through Amazon and the money goes straight to your account, you know. That's another one, issue with international marketing. And then the third one is how to get, even if they put their products out there through the internet, they always ask the same question: how do I get that money? Does it have to go to a US account and then they have to wire it here? Because the fees on wiring money extremely high.
Yes.
So sometimes it's really not even worth their time, unless it's huge amounts. And a lot of people that are trying to prep for the first time are not going to buy like a container. They're going to get a couple samples, and it doesn't cover the expense of the actual service.
Right.
So that's another one. And the other one that is huge is labeling.
Yes.
The United States is super picky about their labeling, and the Commission of Product Safety, they're really hard on everyone, and that's great for the American people, you know, that's awesome.
Right.
But it just makes it extremely hard for a little company and entrepreneur, you know, that is trying to send the products out there.
Right.
If they have to incur in all these different tests, you know, it's just money is not. It's not a resource that they have in huge amounts.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so that's an issue. And also is the new rules, the legal problems that they encounter as far as certificates,
Right,
when
right.
The product get to customs and they haven't actually described the product correctly because again the language barrier.
Yes.
And they don't, that's the thing. Even though we can explain to them what they need to put down in the actual form, language barrier is one, and then the other one is because there's that language barrier, it's hard for them to read the whole new rule. So we translate that to our members at request. They'll request it and we do it. But we can't do it for every specific product in every specific industry. So that's another problem that they encounter.
Okay. And I just have one last question, because what we've been studying is around what they call the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid, this whole concept where multinationals are, corporations in the U.S. are now looking to lesser developed countries and saying, there's a lot of value there. There's, you know, I want to not only do good, but there's a way to economically empower different countries. So now they are modifying their products and services after talking to those countries to see how, instead of maybe I've got some dishwashing soap that is, you know, $5 and that may not be afforded in the rural areas, but if I break it down into little bags and sell those for a nickel, then I can sell so many of them that my profit margin actually is the same.
Right.
And so have you seen any of your members, the multinationals, look for innovative ways of working in the rural? Or,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of them, like you said, packaging, they kind of reduce the package, or actually they drop their prices a little bit. I can't remember, I'm thinking about a product, but just giving you a random example. McDonald's, when they started here, pricey, very pricey.
Right.
And all of a sudden they opened that $1 menu, that will be $3.50.
Right.
And you can find burgers, you can find ice cream for that, and believe it or not, the most poor areas in Peru, people actually live in developing places that don't even have running water. Those that market is huge for fast food, and I think a lot of people have target that market.
Yeah.
If you go to Cono Sur, which is, you know, a very I wouldn't say, well, yeah, it's a poor part of town, you know, or Cono Norte. They have huge malls, but the mall is a food court.
Wow.
And then you can find actual like nice clothing stores, but everything is just so much cheaper than if you were to walk to this mall right here and buy something.
Okay.
There's a price different based on the area.
Okay.
And I think that works with everything. Electronics. You go to, again, Cono Norte. You can find, for instance, a flat screen TV for, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but let's say $50 for each month.
Okay.
For a period of a year. When the actual TV, you can find it at nicer mall, Jockey Plaza, for, let's say, $800 cash. But the difference is that people in Cono Norte buy everything on small payments.
Oh. Okay.
And they use their credit cards, like the Macy's card.
Yes.
So for companies like those huge companies, it's easier to provide them with a little card because they end up paying in a 1 year period much more, or a 2 year period it would be. Much more. And then the same thing is that they can see the payment history, you know. So that happens in a lot of poor areas of Peru, developing areas. In food, like I said, food sells so much. And electronics, that's the thing. Electronics and food, and I would say sectors D and C sells a lot more. That's what they purchase. That's where their money goes.
And have you seen partnerships like entrepreneurs being developed because these multinationals are wanting to go into the rural areas as opposed to just setting up the retail shops and offering lower prices? Have you seen any of your members actually saying, I want to help you with your business if you become my distributor in these rural areas because I can't get there? Anything like that?
I can't remember a specific example from our clients, but for instance, seeing the development of, or the huge market share that American fast food was gaining in Peru, a lot of entrepreneurs, Peruvian entrepreneurs, started opening their fast food restaurants. Because we honestly were not a culture, that had fast food as, you know, because as an important market, because our culture is like you sit down and you eat dinner with your family. People really don't eat by themselves, and you can just go to any restaurant or coffee shop and there's always people with people, you know. And a lot of Peruvian entrepreneurs realized that there was an untapped like market there. And for instance, the case of Gaston Apurio, he studied I can't remember where he studied, but I think he studied in France, and he's a chef, and he came here, and then he started opening, like, of course, beautiful restaurants, but also fast food Peruvian cuisine, like sandwiches that were lomo saltado, papa la huancaína, that kind of thing. And, you know, those sell a lot too. So it's understanding what industry, where to put your money into. And he has grown so much. From the top of my head, I don't know exactly, but now he has restaurants all over South America, Europe, United States, you know. And like him, there's a lot of people that have recognized that there's important market opportunities here. And they're entrepreneurs.
Excellent.
And also exporters. Most of our exporters are entrepreneurs. They realize that they worked for a company, they realized where the market was, and then they opened their own company. And they don't try to target a huge market share. They're happy with 2 or 3 clients, but that will constantly buy from them. In every industry, vegetables, jewelry, textiles, most of the companies we work for in those industries.
And just one other thing I had mentioned before, the tourism industry. Is there a tourism association that does similar to what you do for businesses that want to promote Peru to other parts of the world?
Well, there's Ministerio
Ministerio
de Turismo, but I don't know if there is an actual consulting service for that. I think most of those agencies or people that provide tours, they start the business and develop it on their own. You know, I don't know if there's an actual consulting
association type of.
right for tourism.